Finovate showcases cutting-edge banking and financial technology through a global conference series featuring short-form demos and thought leadership. Now, the conversation continues on the Finovate podcast.
Hey, Greg Palmer here. Welcome to this episode of the Finovate podcast. We've got a fun one for you today. We are going to be talking to a couple of our scholarship winners for Finovate Europe, which is coming up on March 14th and 15th in London. Finovate has recently announced the scholarship program to make the show accessible to companies who are working on sustainable, inclusive fintech efforts. Today, we're going to be talking to Quoroom, who won the scholarship in the female-founded category. And we'll also be talking to Juno, the company who won the scholarship in the social category. If you are interested in seeing either of them in person, please join us at Finovate Europe in March in London. And if you're interested in getting involved as a scholarship winner at any of our future events, we will continue to offer this scholarship program for Finovate Spring and Finovate Fall this year as well. More information, of course, available at finovate.com. For now, let's go ahead and jump into the interviews. Today, I am talking to Ulyana Shtybel, founder at Quoroom. Ulyana, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Yeah, Greg, it's amazing. Thank you for inviting me.
So, as you heard me mention at the top of this episode, we are featuring a couple of our scholarship winners for Finovate Europe here. Ulyana has won one of those scholarships, and we're going to give you just a chance to talk a little bit about what you're working on, who you'd like to meet at Finovate Europe. To kick things off, though, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and Quoroom and what it is that you're going to be showing our audience at Finovate Europe?
Yeah, super excited to participate. I'm very, very honored to receive the scholarship. I'm very thankful to Finovate actually to providing me with this opportunity. So as a startup, you can imagine we definitely need this kind of exposure, but we also are not exactly in a stage where we can finance all of these opportunities on our own. So I was so lucky to receive the scholarship, and actually looking much forward to presenting and demoing Quoroom platform, because Quoroom is the solution that would be super interesting to all the participants from startup side. But I hope it's also going to be very interesting and insightful for everyone who is coming from banking and capital markets and broader industry representatives. So just to give you understanding what Quoroom is a software solution for fundraising, cap table management, and it's all in one platform to do all of the investor and shareholder relations in one place. And a lot of the corporate stuff, which usually have to be done by a company directors, but the market for these different things are very fragmented, and usually the average founder or startup or scale-up director, they would use 5, 6, or sometimes more different type of solutions to do things. And we combine all of that in one place and helping startups and scale-ups to raise funding. So we actually focusing a lot on a workflow and educating startups, founders to do their fundraising in correct and the right manner. Because during the fundraising, startups are doing a lot of mistakes, and they probably spend 2 years just learning how to do fundraising, what type of investors to approach. So Quoroom is a solution for them to learn this stuff as they utilize it, and we provide a lot of guidelines what have to be done or avoided in order to make the funding round more successful.
Yeah, it's a really interesting platform. And I think it's one that's going to resonate with a lot of the different sides of our audience, because certainly other fintech founders have likely experienced some of this pain, maybe are experiencing some of the pain points around this right now. Obviously, from a venture capital standpoint as well, there's a lot of things that you're working on that can really just help make the entire process a little bit easier. Now, one thing I did notice, I believe that up to this point, you're actually angel backed and you're looking for funding. How does working on a platform like Quoroom affect how you kind of go through this process yourself? You're kind of using your own platform right now, are you not?
Yes, exactly. And it's quite interesting journeys that we had as a startup as well. So my background is in finance and capital markets, and my co-founder is a lawyer. So we have been like dealing with the capital markets and the investment banking for some time. And we started to think about like this all-in-one solution where companies can manage their shareholders and things. But not just existing shareholders. And we so what we did, we actually built the MVP, and we raised our angel funding through the platform. So we had two angel rounds through Quoroom platform, and now we are doing the VC round again through the platform. And like it's I think like environment has changed a lot, and a lot of tools and features that we have built are actually helping us right now, because the market become much more demanding, and for companies it's very hard to stand out from other startups and from other businesses on the market who want to get money. So basically, like there are features, including like investor updates, like automated investor updates that help companies to visualize their metrics, the KPIs, and share it with the targeted investors. So because like everyone is expecting the kind of mini recession right now, right? So investors start to be much more picky about companies that they invest money in. And the only thing that really stand company out from others, it's their metrics and their ability to communicate these achievements and metrics with investors. And so this investor updates tool, for example, it's serving not just companies who raising already, but even those which are planning to raise their funding round like in 6 months, right? So you need to keep your potential investors updated so they can see how company is growing over the last 6 months. You build relationships, and then when you start your funding round, so you're going to be much more closer to actually to convince these investors to invest in your company. So basically, it's what we do for our own funding round as well. And every company which utilize Quoroom, so they do it in a similar manner. So they manage their investor pipeline, they are targeting the investor with investor updates. They're utilizing our platform to sign and close deals, and of course to issue share certificates and manage their capitalization table over the life of a company. So so we are very excited to use our platform again, and want definitely to share this experience and novelties with others. So again, like I think Finovate gonna be like really great place to introduce this solution to the market.
Yeah, no, I think it certainly will be. We're coming up on the end of our time, but I did just want to quickly ask one follow-up question. I think, obviously we know that it's difficult to come into the fintech space as a female founder, and that's part of the reason that we've set up the scholarships around for female-founded or female-owned companies. Can you talk a little bit about your experience in the ecosystem and maybe how it's different from your side as opposed to some of what your male colleagues experience in the fundraising space?
I think there is definitely more complication for female founders, but I think it's that it's not just about female founders. It's also about um, the complications which are any kind of minority founders are experience with fundraising, right? So we are ourselves Ukrainian founders, right? So this is also added like some complications to our journey, because we are like foreign company, and when we moved to London with our solution in 2018, so we still been not graduated from Oxford. So I think like there is huge problem still existing in the venture capital space, that venture capital is acting as a network, and they obviously prefer someone who is coming from the Oxbridge network, right? For example. So I think it's not just like, as I said, not just about female founders. It's the problem is much broader, and we know the statistics, how the huge inequality in the funding space, which should be addressed. So, but I have really advice for that. Like, you can beat it with your matrices. So yes, you will not be probably able to convince that you are a great startup and a great business just because you're on a pre-revenue stage, having great idea, but you're gonna be funded because you're graduated from the Oxford, right? So this is probably not gonna be the case. But if you are a startup with a diverse background, but you are properly building your business, and you generating matrices like revenues, and you can communicate this with investors properly, so I think that actually investors become much more open and trusted to this kind of startups and businesses.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's something that I think we're seeing some shifting in the industry, but certainly not nearly as much as we probably need to see in order to really start to correct the problem. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. This has been just a little bit of a taste. Come to Finovate Europe in London next March, and you can see Ulyana up on stage and learn more about what Quoroom is doing. It's been great to get to know you a little bit, Ulyana, and I look forward to seeing you in London in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Greg, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you.
Hey, continuing our conversations with our Finovate Europe scholarship winners, I am now speaking to Margot de Broglie, co-founder of Juno. Margot, thank you for taking the time to connect with me.
Thank you for having me.
So our audience at this point understands that you've won one of our scholarships to come to Finovate Europe, but can you start by just telling us about yourself and Juno and what the audience can expect to see from you on stage at Finovate Europe?
Absolutely. So I'm the co-founder of Juno. Juno is a financial education platform. So you can think of us a little bit like the Duolingo of money. We take the topic of personal finance, which tends to be overwhelming and anxiety-inducing, and break it down into bite-sized topics. We have a library of over 350 lessons. And we launched our D2C app a year ago, and now have a community of 50,000 users in the UK, having completed over 500,000 lessons. And our mission is really to take personal finance and make it sexy and engaging.
Yeah, it's a great goal, and something which I think it sounds like you're having some good traction with already, which is terrific. So you've won the social scholarship that we offer. And can you talk a little bit about how Juno fits into that social responsibility sphere?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know now, and it's been proven over and over again, that higher levels of financial literacy lead to positive financial outcomes for people. So if you know more about money, you're more likely to save, you're more likely to invest for your long-term future, to stick to a budget, and you're less likely to get into debt. And yet, when you think about it, no one actually teaches us about money. It's not mandatory in the curriculum in most countries. And as a result, a large number of people go through their lives making financial decisions through trial and error. And as you know, the consequence of that is that often they make decisions badly informed and tend to be in situations that aren't in line with their financial goals. So through financial education, our aim is really to make this topic more accessible to a vast majority of people and to level the playing field so that everyone has access to the right information to make the best possible financial decisions in their lives. We're particularly focused on young people as well, because I'm still very young and I've seen firsthand just how coming out of university already the kind of different path are shaping themselves between the friends that are saving, that are investing, that are investing for a house deposit versus the friends that have a bad relationship with money and that are already getting into debt. And so we're really interested in impacting young people to shape a positive relationship with money throughout their whole lives, because the impact that it can have is just incredible throughout a lifetime.
Yeah, can you talk about kind of the broader social impact as well? Because obviously the individual benefits immensely from having this kind of learning early on, the ability to become more financially literate. But there is a social component as well when an entire community has this kind of education. What's kind of the potential upside on that level?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that we've been really focused on at Juno is taking an intersectional approach when we look at money, because unfortunately there's still huge gender and racial wealth gaps. And the same plays out in gender and racial financial literacy gaps. And so what we see is that when women have better financial knowledge, they tend to be more on par with men and make better financial decisions in that respect. And that trickles through into families and into the communities they're part of. So financial education really plays a large role in reducing financial inequality as a whole.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things where it's a really significant problem, and a lot of people are kind of stuck when they think about it, because people in the space that I talk to tend to agree it's a problem, we should do something about it, but it's one of those things where you think, well, where can I start? And here's a place where you can actually start and make a significant difference really quickly. Why is this an area that financial institutions need to be focusing on? Or put another way, kind of what's in it for those banks if they engage with this space?
I think you're spot on, Greg, in saying that this is obviously a topic that a lot of people have thought about. It's a big, obvious issue that we have. And I think the challenge that we've seen up until now is that no one has really managed to make personal finance engaging and something that's exciting for young people. And yet what we're seeing now is that a real shift is happening. I was just reading a statistic that more than half of Gen Z now turn to TikTok for financial advice. There's this super engaged community that is building itself. So the question that I ask is, what if banks could have that same level of engagement with their younger customers? Because what we're seeing now is that their customers are already on Juno. They're asking questions. They're consuming hours and hours of context. And so we offer banks that bridge to take this topic that historically they haven't managed to make exciting and fun for their audiences, and make it something that their customers will be interested in engaging with. And the important point here is that it's really a win-win for everyone. What we've seen from our data is that educated consumers benefit banks because they have a higher transaction volume. We've seen from our community that when people understand how to invest better, then they're likely to put a lot more money into their investments, into their pensions. We also seen that they're less likely to churn. Now, recently, over the last few years, where we've seen the market going down, educated consumers were much less likely to take money out of their pensions and out of their investments because they knew that this probably wasn't the right move. And what we're also seeing now is that there's a real opportunity for banks to cross-sell products to their consumers. So you might have someone who has an insurance product out with you, but that doesn't understand the value of a private pension. And we give them the opportunity through the education to cross-promote all their offerings. So beyond it being good for the community, it also makes sense for the bank. It's really a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I think that's a crucial piece as well. Certainly being able to take advantage of all the products that a financial institution offers, you have to be aware of how they work and how they fit into your overall financial strategy. I'm curious, you mentioned that people are right now on the Juno platform watching a lot of the content that you have. Is there a particular area that people are kind of focusing on based on what you can see, or are they just consuming whatever information you're able to put in front of them?
Yeah, so we make the content personalized to the user and based on their financial goals. I can tell you that the top 3 financial goals this year have been investing as number 1 by far. We still see that this is an area of huge appetite, and especially for women. The second one is buying a property. Again, as you know, in UK, home ownership is one of the big dreams that people have, and a lot of people are very interested in that topic. And then due to the cost of living crisis, the third one that has really risen through the rank is just managing a budget. The basics of budgeting is something that people still need to learn. And so we've seen a really big uptake in that as well.
No, I mean, that makes sense. I think especially that last one, it's always shocking to me how many intelligent people I know who seem to be really bad at setting a budget or sticking to a budget. This is an area where, reasonable people can really have some difficulty. So it's great that people are able to get that resource there. Looking ahead to Finovate Europe itself, who are you really looking to meet while you're there?
Yeah, so I think Finovate comes at a really crucial time for us because over the last year, we've really proven and shown that we could make financial education engaging. We've shown our traction in D2C. And so this year, we're kicking off our partnerships with financial institutions because we know that this will accelerate our impact immensely if we partner with the banks that really have at the center of their mission to educate their customers. So we're looking for partners that understand the value of financial education, especially during this time, and that are ready to support and engage with their customers to the next level.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be a few of them in the room. It makes a lot of sense. And again, we're excited to be able to feature platforms like this as a part of our scholarship effort. So congratulations on winning the scholarship. I look forward to seeing your demo from stage. Again, Finovate Europe coming up in the middle of March in London. Tickets are still available. And Margot, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and to give us all a little bit of a preview of what we can expect to see from Juno on the stage.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you all very much for joining us on this episode. Hopefully you found something interesting about both Juno and Quoroom. We appreciate both of them taking the time. And of course, as I mentioned at the outset, come see them in London to watch their demos live from the Finovate stage. And again, if you are interested in taking part or simply learning more about the scholarship program that Finovate is offering, check us out at finovate.com. We will continue to offer scholarships in these categories at both our Finovate Spring and Finovate Fall events. We look forward to seeing more companies who are doing good, working on making the fintech space more inclusive, more sustainable, more socially responsible, and we hope you'll join us in that journey. Thanks so much.
The Finovate podcast is produced by Informa Connect in association with Provoke.fm Media. Check out Finovate.com for information on Finovate's upcoming shows and to learn how you can get involved. The discount code Finovate Podcast will save you 20% on tickets to all of our events. And you can email us at info@finovate.com for information on sponsoring, speaking, or demoing. Thanks for listening.